Good, happy Saturday morning, March 21, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Saturday morning, so let's begin. First up, 11 more cases of COVID-19 confirmed in New Hampshire. First case diagnosed in Coos and Cheshire counties. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
Why choose Century Roofing? You've met my team, the best in the business. Is a lifetime warranty good enough for you? And payment options, financing is available, and we accept all credit cards.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
So let's start at 6 with breaking news and the latest numbers. 11 new cases of the coronavirus in New Hampshire have just been announced. Those include the first positive tests for residents in Coos and Cheshire counties. State total now up to 55, nearly 1,000 test results still pending. More than 550 people are being monitored for the virus. Also breaking tonight, more Americans have been ordered to lock down as the world deals with the deadly pandemic. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jennifer Vaughn. Illinois and New York have joined California in ordering all residents to stay home as cases of COVID-19 grow. There have been more than 250,000 coronavirus cases worldwide, more than 16,000 here in the U.S. This is according to Johns Hopkins University.
And it comes as the U.S., Mexico, and Canada have now all agreed on travel restrictions at the borders. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made the announcement during another briefing by the COVID-19 task force at the White House today. President Trump also announced a change when it comes to student loans.
The United States and Mexico have agreed to restrict non-essential travel across our shared border.
Also temporarily waived all interest on federally held student loans. They'll be very happy to hear that. And I've instructed them to take that action immediately.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Again, 11 more cases of COVID-19 confirmed right here in New Hampshire. And let's take a look at this diagram here for all of you. COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 55 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 258,419 number of people worldwide who have tested positive. 2 number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 216 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States, and 11,277 number of deaths from COVID-19 worldwide. You got 1 person in Coos that have it, 12 in Grafton, 5 in Carroll, 3 in Belmont, 3 in Merrimack, 10 in Hillsborough, and 20 in Rockingham, and 1 in Cheshire. These 2, none. Your common symptoms are fever, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads. And prevention tips. Be sure to stay with us on the latest of COVID-19 in New Hampshire. Manchester-Boston Regional Airport projects 6 million to 8 million loss due to coronavirus. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9, Jean Mackin.
The New Hampshire Department of Corrections has immediate openings for corrections officers. Apply today.
Some passengers
passengers arrive wearing masks, stepping up to our social distance microphone to share their travel tales.
The airports were completely dead, and that's kind of what I expected, and I did my best to try to avoid. I had my mask, I had my gloves, I had my hand sanitizer, everything going.
People were wearing masks, everybody was being really cautious, wiping their hands.
Martina Higgins picked up her sister from a Florida flight. Both college students will finish their classes online.
Obviously wasn't expecting a lot of people, but there's like no one here. It's kind of like eerie, but I'm glad that she's back. So
yeah, I had 2 flights. They both had about 10 people on them, which is so weird.
The airport director says reduced passenger traffic is leading to a projected shortfall of $6 to $8 million for fiscal year 2020, which ends in June. He says most commercial airports are self-funded and need a federal airport relief package.
Airports are expected to lose between $10 and $13 billion this calendar year. And we need that injection of cash because 90% of our revenues are derived from passenger activity.
Barbara Goodwin from Ringe flew in from Florida with her dog Bud Light. She's grateful to be back at her home airport.
There was no place to eat out because they closed all the places. They closed the beaches today in Florida, or at least on the Gulf side. I'm very happy to be home. I just needed to be home. I was so afraid I wasn't going to get home.
Well, she is home now. With increased travel restrictions, some major carriers say they've already parked half their fleets, and they do expect more cuts before it gets better. Live at the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport tonight, Jean Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Separated by COVID-19. Concerns. Girl dances for grandfather. Windham teen performs Irish dance for grandfather on birthday. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
I'm your Century Roofing foreman.
And I'm customer service.
And I'm the installer.
We're the Century Roofing team. Call us today.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
Through 81 years, Bill Foley's smile hasn't faded. But this day held special significance for his granddaughter, Catherine.
It was his 81st birthday, and his father is from County Kerry, Ireland, and he just really loves when I Irish dance for him.
Bill lives in a senior community, and for the sake of his health and those around him, visitors aren't allowed because of precautionary measures due to COVID-19.
My family decided to surprise him. We were trying to think of gifts we could give him to drop off or something, and then we're like, well, what if I Irish dance outside his window?
Trained in traditional Irish step dancing, the 15-year-old chose her grandfather's favorite jig, found a song, and enlisted her parents to capture the moment.
I performed a dance called Treble Reel. So Treble Reel is it's a hard shoe dance, and we do them at a lot of our St. Patrick's Day shows. He seemed to be smiling, and he waved to my mom, so I think he liked it.
It was a hit, taking away the sting of a dual birthday typically shared between Catherine's brother and their grandpa.
Usually we have a birthday celebration with the two of them, and they blow out the candles on their cake and stuff, but we couldn't see him this year, so that was kind of a bummer, but then we got to see him, and it was just really exciting.
Catherine is an Irish dancer with the McGonigal School of Irish Dance. She is one of Bill's 16 grandchildren. Jennifer Vaughn, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. What a great story there. Man accused of shooting at Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Holderness. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Peloton tonight, a man is under arrest accused of shooting at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. And also police say that a gas can was found outside of the building behind me. Tonight around 7 o'clock this evening, Holderness police say that a friend of the suspect reported that 37-year-old David Petrell of Ashland was threatening to burn down the Jehovah's Witness Hall. Officers say Petrell fired a few shots at the building, and he was the only person here, no one inside at the time. Investigators are looking into a motive, but say they don't have enough information right now to prove whether or not this was hate crime motivated. As we said, there allegedly was a gas can located outside of the building, but it's not clear if there was actually gasoline inside of the facility. When officers arrived, they took Petrell into custody without incident, and right now he's facing possible charges of attempted arson and several felonies of reckless conduct with a firearm. Tonight, the suspect is being held without bail. The ATF and State Fire Marshal's Office are assisting in this investigation. Reporting live in Holderness, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Seacoast Bus Company suspends services. C&J Bus Line owner says decision made to protect riders and drivers. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tyler Dumont.
At Bell-Tapes, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Bell-Tapes Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
The buses at C&J in Portsmouth will soon be off the roads and parked.
We're hopeful, 30 to 60 days. We're not sure, but we'll see what happens.
Owner Jim Gelbert says as of Sunday, all of their bus lines will be suspended. The company's popular routes, transporting hundreds daily to Boston, Logan Airport, and New York City, will all be brought to a halt. Bus drivers will be out of work.
I look at what's happened, the impact to people, the potential risk if people don't shelter at home, and we just made the decision it was the right thing to do.
Bud Perry heard of their pending shutdown.
We would be stuck, without a ride back.
He and friend Ernie Damaris are back in New Hampshire from Key West, Florida. They planned to fly into Logan, but decided to rent an SUV and drove instead, fearing their flight would also be canceled.
You get into the airlines, you don't know where people have been, where they're coming from.
Things was changing real fast, and we just had to make other plans real fast.
What hasn't changed yet are the local routes at Coast Bus.
We don't have anything planned in the works. Things change so much day to day right now.
The Seacoast Public Transit System says buses are being deep cleaned overnight, but fewer seniors are getting on board than usual, and overall numbers are down over the past week.
We have seen fixed route ridership drop off about 33%.
The last C&J bus for now departs in less than 24 hours from now at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. We're live in Portsmouth. Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. List New Hampshire religious services live streaming aimed COVID-19 outbreak. Below is a list of religious services and places they will be live streamed online this weekend in the Granite State. If you would like to have your place of worship added to the list, please email community@wmur.com with a name, time, and link to the live stream. And here is a look at that list. If you want to see that complete list, just go to WMUR.com. Judge rules Sununu can ban gatherings under emergency powers. Plaintiff said order violated First Amendment. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
I'm your Century Roofing foreman.
And I'm customer service.
And I'm the installer.
We're the Century Roofing team. Call us today.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
To prevent the spread of COVID-19, only the parties involved in the lawsuit were at today's hearing in Merrimack Superior Court. News 9 joined via teleconference. The plaintiffs in this case, 2 people from Manchester and 1 from Bath, told the court they had several events in the coming weeks, including meetings of the Grafton County Republican Committee as well as religious services. And by issuing his ban, Governor Sununu is infringing on their rights.
In regards to limiting people's association, that is a First Amendment issue. And when the governor curtails people's religious practice, that's also a First Amendment issue.
The lawsuit also alleged the governor lacked the authority for such an order and that the state and federal constitutions prohibit it. But the judge disagreed.
Based on where we stand right now, based on the conclusions that were clearly laid out in the governor's declaration, the court finds that there is both statutory support and that the governor's actions pass constitutional muster in all respects at this time.
At the end of the day, we just want to make sure that what the governor is doing is not violating the Constitution.
Well, obviously, this is a matter of public health and safety, and we're just glad that the court agreed. And now the attorney for the plaintiffs tells us right now there are no plans to appeal this decision. We're live in Manchester. I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sununu says there are no places to issue shelter-in-place order. Governor says current restrictions appropriate for level of COVID-19. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
I'm your Century Roofing foreman.
And I'm customer service.
And I'm the installer.
We're the Century Roofing team. Call us today.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
As more states move to restrict non-essential business or institute shelter-in-place orders, Governor Chris Sununu says he does not anticipate New Hampshire following suit right now. He believes the measures being taken here, from social distancing to schools closing and the restrictions on restaurants and public gatherings, are appropriate for the state's known level of COVID-19 spread. And he says shelter in place is not imminent for New Hampshire.
These are all incredibly big decisions, and people are really abiding by them, and that's allowing flexibility at the top level to not make such drastic action. So we are absolutely not there today, and look, we always need to plan for the worst, but by no means are we in that position today, and we hope to never have to be.
Sununu acknowledges this is a fluid situation and things could change, but says the ultimate goal is to avoid overwhelming hospitals.
We're bending the curve. We talk about that a lot. You don't get a run on the healthcare system, and over time, that'll give us a chance to bring in more pharmaceuticals or drugs that can help mitigate the symptoms.
New Hampshire, like all of the other states in the union, is having a difficult time putting together an effective testing regime for COVID-19. Governor Sununu says one of the most difficult aspects of deciding if and when to institute something like a shelter-in-place order for Granite Staters would be knowing when it is safe to lift such an order.
Once you take an action of last resort, how do you undo it? When do you undo it? It gets very difficult. I got to tell you, I don't blame any governor for taking certain actions, but in the sense of California, when do you undo that? This is not going away in 3 weeks, unfortunately. This is not going away in even a couple months, right? So hopefully we'll be able to manage it better because we're changing our models, but the numbers are going to keep rising in the near future. We know that.
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. World Health Organization warns the young, you are not invincible. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
The health commissioner said here in New York, being echoed across this country tonight, some hospitals already on the brink. Doctors putting masks in Ziploc bags so that they can use the same mask for up to a week. There are urgent pleas tonight from the front lines, and ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman on that part of the story.
Tonight, cascading shortages reported at hospitals around the country. One of the most critical, blood.
Right now, we're at like a critical shortage of blood, again, common across the country, because no one is donating blood.
Clinicians telling us those N95 masks are so precious, they're now kept in Ziplocs or paper bags because they're told to hold on to them for up to a week.
My mask snapped while I was trying to take it off in between patients, and I had to staple it back.
But perhaps the most alarming shortage, doctors and nurses themselves, including Dr. Dara Cass, who tested positive.
I was using all the protection I was supposed to. I probably just wiped the surface with my hands and then wiped my face between mask usage.
She's working from home now, urging other medical professionals to get tested. 2 Navy medical ships deploying, one on each coast to ease the burden. The USNS Mercy heading up the west coast next week, where a battle is brewing whether it will dock in LA or in Seattle. And the USNS Comfort will head to New York in early April. And the Army Corps of Engineers preparing to possibly convert the Javits Center in New York, as well as college dorms, into makeshift medical centers out of fear beds will run out in weeks. Tonight, we're taking you inside the Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans, now using special respirator masks to protect staff. And across the country, thousands rushing to get tested. At New Jersey's first major drive-through testing site, police had to turn people away after just 4 hours. One of the nation's leading infectious disease doctors admitting the U.S. is not meeting the demand.
We are not there yet.
Tonight, the World Health Organization warning young people they're not invincible. The CDC says nearly 40% of the people hospitalized in the U.S. are between the ages of 20 and 54. And 22-year-old Los Angeles resident Beyonda Haliti taking to social media to describe how her symptoms evolved. Tonight, she says she's proof that the pandemic can impact anyone.
I just want to let everyone know that, it's very important to stay inside and follow the CDC guidelines and, take this seriously.
And just anecdotally, we're learning tonight, Matt, that there are many young people in ICUs around this country. We have to take this seriously and not have a false sense of security. And Matt, I also know there's news coming in from some sources in Washington State tonight, and really across the country and other places as well, that have echoed what we had heard early on in Italy, that at least in Washington State, they're also now making emergency plans to decide who will get treated in a worst-case scenario and who won't.
That's right, David, and that is because they are running short on supplies and they expect the number of patients to skyrocket. So in the coming weeks, they expect to have to make this brutal triage decision, essentially deciding whether or not to give the sickest patients full medical care. And doctors are telling me they're going to have to make a decision of life and death on the spot. David.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for watching this Saturday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.